Everything in your life begins within the mind. The outer world is not separate from you. It is a reflection of the assumptions, beliefs, and feelings you consistently accept as true inside yourself. Every experience, every condition, every relationship is shaped first in consciousness before it ever appears physically. The moment you truly understand this, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and begin recognizing yourself as the creator of your reality. If you can focus on a single thought with complete emotional involvement for just 17 seconds, you begin activating the process of manifestation, not through force or struggle, but through alignment. What you deeply assume to be true starts organizing itself into form. The instant you emotionally accept something as real within your imagination, creation has already begun. You are not bringing something new into existence. You are selecting a reality that already exists and aligning yourself with it. Every possible version of life already exists in the infinite field of consciousness. Your imagination is the doorway that allows you to step into the reality you choose. When you hold an image, a feeling, or a scene in your mind with clarity and conviction, you begin merging with that experience energetically. At 17 seconds, the thought begins to spark. At 34 seconds, it gathers strength. At 51 seconds, the momentum deepens, and by 68 seconds, the energy of that thought becomes powerful enough to begin forming itself into physical reality. You are not required to figure out how it will happen. The how is never your responsibility. Your role is simply to remain faithful to the feeling of already having what you desire. If you desire love, feel yourself already cherished and valued. If you desire abundance, embody the feeling of financial freedom now. If you seek healing, imagine your body already restored and whole. The external world always follows the internal state. Even a brief moment of unwavering belief can create tremendous change. One concentrated moment of pure assumption carries more creative power than hours spent doubting, fearing, or worrying. During those focused seconds, you silently declare to the universe, "This is my reality now," and life begins responding to that declaration. Your self concept determines everything. The world mirrors the identity you accept within yourself. Change your inner assumptions, and the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. This is why your imagination must be treated as sacred. It is not fantasy, it is creative power itself. Whatever you repeatedly feel and accept internally begins shaping your experience externally. There is no reality separate from consciousness. The world you see is simply the visible expression of your dominant inner state. Your consistent beliefs, assumptions, and inner conversations are what shape your life. Casual thoughts have little power compared to deeply rooted feelings and sustained emotional focus. Imagination is not merely daydreaming. It is the very mechanism of creation. When you vividly imagine something and emotionally experience it as true, you activate the same creative intelligence responsible for all life. This is not symbolism, it is law. Consciousness expresses itself outwardly through form. Most people spend their lives reacting to appearances, believing the external world is the source of their experiences. But the truth is the opposite. The outer world is delayed feedback. It reflects what has already been accepted internally. The unseen always comes before the seen. Visualization alone is not enough. Emotion is what gives life to imagination. A mental picture without feeling has little creative force. But imagination combined with belief, certainty, and emotional acceptance becomes powerful. The moment you emotionally embody your desire, the process begins. Every invention, every achievement, every transformation throughout history started first as an imagined possibility in someone's mind. Nothing appears physically until it exists mentally. Those who changed the world believed in what they could not yet see, and eventually reality caught up with their inner vision. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you are always imagining. If you constantly dwell on limitation, rejection, or failure, those experiences continue repeating. But the moment you intentionally redirect your imagination towards success, love, abundance, and fulfillment, your reality begins changing. The same intelligence that created galaxies operates through your consciousness. It moves through your imagination, your feelings, and your assumptions. When you begin using this power deliberately, you step into your role as the architect of your life. This understanding is not about blame, it is about responsibility. Real freedom begins when you realize your life is unfolding through your consciousness, not against it. You are free to imagine yourself healthy, prosperous, loved, successful, and fulfilled. And when you consistently inhabit that identity internally, life must eventually reflect it. The reason many people miss this truth is because it appears too simple. Society teaches people to trust only what they can physically see, but reality responds more to belief than appearances. The universe reflects what you emotionally accept as yours. The moment you imagine something with emotional certainty, you begin embodying it. If you remain loyal to that vision, regardless of current circumstances, the physical world will eventually mirror your inner state. Manifestation does not respond to desperation, it responds to alignment. Your inner world must become more important than temporary appearances. Stop asking the external world for permission to feel successful, loved, or fulfilled. Feel it first. The outer reality will follow. The seed of every desire already exists within you. The question is not whether it is possible. The question is whether you can sustain the feeling long enough for it to take root. Even 17 seconds of focused emotional belief can begin changing your reality because during those moments, your mind and emotions move into complete harmony. Most people divide their energy. They think about what they want while simultaneously focusing on what they fear. They desire success while expecting failure. In that conflicted state, manifestation weakens. But when your attention becomes unified, your thought gains power. A focused mind becomes magnetic. A thought held with emotional conviction begins attracting experiences that match its vibration. Your consciousness works like a lens. Scattered focus diffuses energy, but concentrated attention intensifies it. You do not need force. You do not need struggle. Manifestation works naturally when you emotionally surrender to the feeling that your desire is already fulfilled. The key is consistency without contradiction. If you affirm abundance but continue emotionally identifying with lack, you interrupt the process. But when you release doubt, ignore appearances temporarily, and remain grounded in the feeling of already having what you desire, you begin rewriting your reality from within. The words "I am" carry immense creative power. Whatever follows them becomes the identity you embody. When spoken with belief and feeling, they shape your experience. You are not asking for something outside yourself. You are claiming a state of being. 17 seconds may seem insignificant, but if your attention is pure and emotionally aligned during that time, you initiate momentum. Energy responds to focus. A thought infused with feeling becomes vibration, and vibration shapes reality. At 17 seconds, the thought begins attracting similar thoughts. At 34 seconds, the energy intensifies. At 51 seconds, the momentum grows stronger. And at 68 seconds, the vibrational pattern becomes strong enough to influence physical outcomes. This process is no different from planting a seed. The moment the seed enters the soil, growth begins invisibly beneath the surface. Manifestation works the same way. Your responsibility is not to force the result, but to trust the unseen process. Do not constantly dig up the seed by doubting, questioning, or fearing. Continue nourishing it with belief, emotional conviction, gratitude, and attention. Remain loyal to the inner vision. Feel the joy of already living it. Because the reality you consistently feel within yourself must eventually become the reality you experience around you. Everything starts within you. The world you experience is not separate from your inner beliefs, assumptions, and imagination. Your reality is constantly responding to the thoughts and feelings you accept as true. When you focus your mind with intention, even for a short period of time, you activate the creative force that shapes your life. A single thought held with emotion, certainty, and focus begins to move energy into form. You are not here to force outcomes or struggle against life. You are here to choose the state you wish to live in. The version of yourself you desire already exists, and through imagination, belief, and feeling, you step into that reality. The moment you truly feel your wish is already fulfilled, the process of manifestation begins. Your task is not to control how it happens, but to remain faithful to the feeling that it is already yours. Every experience, relationship, achievement, and transformation first begins in consciousness. What you repeatedly imagine and emotionally accept eventually becomes reflected in the outer world. Fear, doubt, and negative assumptions create one reality, while confidence, gratitude, abundance, and self-belief create another. Your imagination is not fantasy. It is the creative power operating through you. When you hold a thought with focused attention and emotion, you strengthen its energy. Even 17 seconds of uninterrupted belief can begin shifting your reality. The longer you remain aligned with the feeling of your desire fulfilled, the stronger that energy becomes. You stop living from hope and begin living from certainty. You no longer wait for proof from the outside world because you already know within yourself that it is done. The key is consistency, not force. Most people interrupt their own manifestations by doubting, fearing, or constantly reacting to current circumstances. But when you remain loyal to your inner vision, life begins reorganizing itself around your new state of being. The outer world has no choice but to mirror the dominant assumptions you hold inside yourself. You are the operant power in your reality. You are not powerless, unlucky, or separate from abundance. The same creative energy that shapes the universe flows through your mind, emotions, and imagination. When you consciously direct your thoughts toward what you truly desire and emotionally embody that reality, you begin transforming your life from the inside out. Your imagination is sacred. Protect it. Feed it with images of success, love, peace, prosperity, confidence, and fulfillment. Stop giving energy to what you fear and begin giving attention to the life you want to experience. The more natural the desired state feels within you, the faster reality aligns with it. You do not need permission to become the version of yourself you dream about. You only need the willingness to believe differently, think differently, and feel differently. The moment you align your inner world with the reality you desire, everything begins to shift. Your thoughts become magnetic, your emotions become creative energy, your assumptions become experiences. The life you want is not somewhere outside of you. It begins in your consciousness first. Imagine boldly, feel deeply, persist calmly, trust completely, and allow your inner transformation to shape the world around you naturally and effortlessly. Persistence does not mean forcing life to obey you. It means remaining faithful to the reality you have already accepted within yourself. The outer world may not change instantly, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Every time you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you strengthen the new reality you are creating. What matters is not what you see at the moment, but what you continue to believe and emotionally embody. The world reflects your dominant inner state. If you keep reacting to appearances, fear, or delay, you continue feeding the old reality. But when you remain calm, certain, and emotionally aligned with what you desire, you begin to rise above temporary circumstances. The outer world is only the echo of past assumptions. Change the assumption, and the reflection must eventually change as well. Emotion is the true power behind manifestation. Your feelings shape your vibration, and your vibration shapes your experiences. It is not enough to repeat words without conviction. You must feel the reality of what you desire as though it already belongs to you. Gratitude, joy, love, peace, confidence, and certainty are not just emotions. They are creative forces. They signal to life what state you are living from. When you imagine with feeling, you move from wishing into becoming. You stop asking life for permission and begin embodying the version of yourself who already has what you desire. That emotional alignment becomes magnetic. The universe responds not to what you say you want, but to the state you consistently occupy within yourself. Do not search constantly for external signs. The greatest sign is your inner transformation. When doubt fades, when peace replaces fear, when you feel secure before the evidence appears, you have already shifted states. The manifestation is simply catching up to the identity you have accepted internally. Your imagination is sacred creative power. Treat it carefully. Return often to the images, feelings, and assumptions that support the life you want to experience. Refuse to let fear and limitation dominate your inner conversations. Instead, dwell in the emotional atmosphere of your fulfilled desire until it feels natural. You are not waiting for life to change. You are changing first, and life responds afterward. That is the law. The more consistently you persist in the feeling of your desired reality, the more effortlessly the outer world reorganizes itself to reflect it. You are not powerless. You are not separate from abundance, love, peace, or success. You are the source from which your experiences are formed. Your imagination plants the seed. Your emotions nourish it. Your persistence allows it to grow. And in time, what once existed only within you becomes visible in your world. In the end, the greatest truth of this entire message is that your reality does not begin outside of you. It begins within. Every condition, every experience, every relationship, every success or limitation first takes shape in the hidden world of your imagination, your beliefs, your feelings, and your assumptions. The outer world is not the cause, it is the reflection. It mirrors back the state you consistently occupy inside yourself. Once you truly understand this, you stop living as someone who reacts helplessly to life and begin living as someone who consciously creates it. You are not here to force outcomes, beg for change, or struggle endlessly against circumstances. You are here to recognize the creative power that has always existed within you. Your imagination is not fantasy, it is the workshop of reality itself. Every vision you hold with feeling, every assumption you accept as true, every emotion you repeatedly embody becomes the blueprint from which your life is shaped. The moment you feel your desire as already real within yourself, the process of manifestation begins. Not someday, not eventually, in that very moment. This is why focus matters. This is why feeling matters. And this is why persistence matters. A passing wish has little power, but a thought held with emotion, conviction, and undivided attention begins gathering momentum. Even a few seconds of pure concentrated belief can start shifting your inner state. When you continue returning to that state, when you repeatedly occupy the feeling of already being the person you desire to become, your reality slowly but inevitably reorganizes itself around that assumption. The law responds not to words alone, but to the emotional state behind them. You may speak of abundance, but if you continue feeling fear and lack, you remain aligned with scarcity. You may desire love, but if you continue dwelling in loneliness and insecurity, that becomes the reality you project. Life always reflects your dominant emotional atmosphere. That is why your feelings are so powerful. They are not passive reactions to life, they are instructions to it. Gratitude, joy, peace, confidence, love, certainty, and inner calm are not merely positive emotions, they are creative frequencies. When you embody them consistently, you become aligned with the reality that matches them. You stop waiting for external proof because you no longer need circumstances to convince you of your worth or your future. You begin to feel complete within yourself first. And from that state of inner completion, manifestation becomes natural. Most people delay their own desires because they constantly check the outer world for confirmation. They imagine for a moment and then return to doubt. They plant seeds and immediately dig them back up with fear and impatience. But true manifestation requires inner loyalty. It requires remaining faithful to your unseen vision even when current circumstances appear unchanged. The outer world is always delayed. It reflects previous assumptions. If you want a different reflection, you must first become different within yourself. This is where persistence becomes your greatest strength. Persistence is not struggle. It is not forcing life to obey you. It is calmly returning again and again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is refusing to allow temporary appearances to define your identity. It is understanding that imagination creates reality whether consciously or unconsciously, and deciding to use that power deliberately rather than accidentally. You are always imagining. You are always assuming. You are always emotionally affirming something about yourself and your life. The question is whether those inner conversations support the reality you truly want. Every fearful assumption, every limiting belief, every repeated negative emotion continues reproducing itself until you consciously choose something different. But the moment you shift inwardly, the moment you begin identifying with abundance instead of lack, confidence instead of fear, love instead of rejection, peace instead of chaos, life begins moving differently around you. You are not separate from the creative intelligence of the universe. The same force that shapes galaxies, seasons, growth, and transformation operates through your consciousness. Your imagination is one of the greatest gifts you possess because it allows you to mentally and emotionally enter realities before they physically appear. And once you emotionally occupy a state consistently, reality has no choice but to mirror it back. The secret is not effort, the secret is embodiment. You do not manifest by desperately wanting something. You manifest by becoming internally aligned with it. When you no longer feel separated from your desire, when you emotionally accept it as already part of your identity, resistance begins to dissolve. The process becomes natural because you stop chasing and start being. This is why your inner world must become sacred to you. Protect your mind from constant fear, negativity, and limitation. Feed your imagination with images of the life you truly desire. Speak to yourself with intention. Feel worthy now instead of waiting for achievements to validate you. Feel loved now instead of waiting for someone else to complete you. Feel abundant now instead of waiting for money to make you secure. The state always comes before the evidence. And remember, manifestation is not about pretending or escaping reality. It is about understanding that reality itself grows from consciousness. The unseen creates the seen. Your assumptions become experiences. Your emotions become magnetic forces. Your imagination becomes the mold from which your future is formed. The moment you stop identifying with fear, delay, struggle, and limitation, you begin stepping into a completely different version of life. You realize that you are not a victim of circumstances, but the operant power behind them. This understanding does not make you arrogant, it makes you responsible. It reminds you that every day you are shaping your future through what you consistently think, feel, and believe about yourself. So choose carefully what you dwell upon. Choose thoughts that strengthen you. Choose emotions that expand you. Choose assumptions that align with the life you want to experience. Continue returning to the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it becomes natural, familiar, and effortless. Let gratitude become your foundation. Let peace become your atmosphere. Let confidence become your identity. The life you desire already exists as a possibility within consciousness. Your role is not to force it into existence, but to align yourself with it so fully that it becomes inevitable. When you persist in that inner alignment, reality must eventually conform. That is the law. The outer follows the inner. The visible follows the invisible. The world reflects the state you embody. You are more powerful than you have been taught to believe. Your imagination matters. Your feelings matter. Your assumptions matter. What you repeatedly accept as true becomes your experience. So imagine wisely. Feel deeply, persist faithfully, and trust that every moment you spend aligned with your desired reality is moving you closer to its physical expression. Because in the end, the person you consistently believe yourself to be is the person life will continue revealing back to you.